This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. COVID-19 cases continue to threaten public health across Arkansas, particularly in Northwest Arkansas, which is being recognized nationally as a hot spot. I'm joined by Geovanny Sarmiento, Vice President of Community Engagement and Inclusion with the Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce. Geovanny, thanks for joining us. COVID-19's pounding Northwest Arkansas. Is this something that the community feels like they have a grip on? How taxed do you think resources are?
So first of all, thank you, Robbie, for having me in your show, and thank you for everything that you're doing for our community. We are representing here also the city of Rogers. We are fortunate, and I think I'm expressing this sentiment from a lot of people in our communities, that Arkansas has not been hit as hard as other communities, and that's something that we have to be very grateful for. We're also very grateful that we have a great governor that is doing everything in his power to keep us moving forward. As we speak, we know that we are in phase 2, and a lot of the business community is very happy with that decision, because that allows not only them to continue doing business, and for some of them, it's even saving their businesses, but also our working community. I am in touch with a lot of people, especially in the Latino community, but also in the community as a whole. And I see the sentiment that people have is very positive. They're in total support of what the governor is trying to do and is doing to keep our businesses open, and also our workforce going and getting some income too. So in turn, our economy is starting to see some recovery, and that's what is going to be great for all of us. As far as the needs on the community, we can't emphasize enough what the directives that are coming from the Department of Health. People have to continue be vigilant about keeping them safe and the community safe by keeping the distance, at least 6 feet away, and also wearing masks. That's something that is very, very important for all of us to understand, that that's going to be number one. And the second, the third, is washing your hands, right? We can't emphasize enough how important that is. And if we all do that and we all do our part, I think we can continue to mitigate, some issues that continue to flare up here and there. But hopefully we will get control very soon.
Well, I've spoken with several healthcare professionals in Northwest Arkansas. They do feel like you're at the limit of the region's resources. Capacity's topping out. Is there some concern from the business community that if these trends continue, that the healthcare system won't be able to handle the influx?
Right, that's a valid concern. We have been in several discussions with our health professionals in all the healthcare system here in Northwest Arkansas. We feel confident that we have the capacity. They are confident that if there is even a bigger wave, that they can manage it. If something happens, if something changes drastically, I know, and we have total confidence on the health department and the governor that they will take drastic measurements right away before anything gets out of control. But as of right now, I think we are still in a good situation. We have an increase on cases and so forth, but so far it has been manageable.
Well, I don't think I have to tell you that COVID-19 is disproportionately affecting people of color, especially Hispanics and the Marshallese population in Northwest Arkansas. Tell me, what's being done to address those specific populations?
I can tell you specifically because I am part of a group that is working extensively with the Arkansas Department of Health, trying to communicate and see how we can better manage this side of our community, right? So to your point, it's not a secret anymore. The numbers are there. It's affecting disproportionately to those segments of the community that you just mentioned, and it is somewhat alarming, right? So again, we've been working on this group for over 5 weeks now. We have been doing and implementing a lot of things that as a group, we came up with some solutions. Believe me, it's a very tough situation. It's a very hard community to reach. We're doing everything we can to partner with our local Spanish media, and they're helping us tremendously to spread a lot of the directives that I just mentioned, as far as wearing masks and taking this very seriously. But also in the other side is the reality, right? A lot of the people in those two segments of the community, the Marshallese and the Latinx community, they're essential workers, right? And we need them. We need them to keep not only our community fed, but also the rest of the state and the country, right? So being that they are essential workers is a very special class, is a very special group of people that they need a lot of our attention, they need a lot of help to keep the virus in check and also from spreading. If you ask me why is it that it's spreading so fast among our population, is because this is a silent virus, right? You don't get any warnings. You don't get soon enough. If you don't test yourself, if you don't get a test, you're not going to know that you're carrying the virus for at least 10 to 12 days. And that's how it spreads, because in both of these communities, traditional, because of our culture, we are people that love to be together with our family, with our friends. We tend to visit each other a lot. So since we reopen our businesses, a lot of people have been a little more relaxed about that and thinking that now it's okay to go visit grandma and grandpa and all my aunts and uncles. And unfortunately, that's how it spreads so quickly in our Latino community. Because again, it's a cultural. We tend to be together and we can't wait to hug each other. Believe me, it has been very tough for a lot of us not to be able to do that within our community. We are a community, we're all about touching and hugging and being close to each other. So that's a lot of the stuff that's been going on. But again, we are relying on all of our partners to help us to educate more than anything the community that this is not over. We still have a lot of work to do. We still have to keep the distance and continue keeping our families safe.
I want you to put a different hat on. We're witnessing a moment in history where people of color, particularly African Americans, are suffering from police force. Latinos are also disproportionately affected when you look at the statistics around this. While we talk about Black Lives Matter, should we also be saying that brown lives matter too? What's going to change the dialogue in this country?
Of course, it's very difficult. That's another segment or another issue that we have been working very hard for many, many years within the city of Rogers and also the Rogers-Lowell Area Chamber of Commerce, which is the organizations that I represent. And I'm also fortunate that the governor appointed me to the task force dealing with all of these issues with law enforcement. And I don't take that lightly. I think that's an honor for me to be appointed to that. And I'm going to do everything that I can to bring all those issues. I think you nailed it. It's not only the African American community, the brown community is also suffering to some extent nationally for some issues with law enforcement. But I can tell you from my work with the City of Rogers and the Rogers Police Department that we are fortunate that we don't have some of those problems here, right? It does affect us because we are hearing this all over the national news. Different communities are being highlighted, being some very tough situations. We condemn what has happened to George Floyd and all the other victims of excessive force. And of course, we can't tolerate that. It's something that I think as a community we are coming out and say, enough is enough. So there are going to be some changes that are going to be needed. Again, in our communities here in Northwest Arkansas, I can tell you from experience that some of the stuff that's happening at the national level are not happening here. And that's something that we should be proud of. And we are also very, we have to recognize that the work of the police department in all of our communities is very, very important. We need the community to stand behind them as well. We respect everyone's right to protest peacefully, and we join them. We wanna make sure that people have the opportunity to voice their opinions, right? But with all of that, I think there's going to be some positive change.
Well, you mentioned that you're on the governor's task force to look into this. You had your first meeting this week, I believe, down in Fort Smith. Tell me, what are your goals? What do you hope comes out of all of this?
Yeah, again, it's an honor to serve on that. Tomorrow is going to be our first meeting. And what I'm looking forward to is to share some of the concerns and the voices in the community. You know, I am aware and I am totally trying to represent the best that I can our Black and Brown community and on this task force and make sure that their voices are being heard. So I am talking to different organizations that are leading in this role, trying to see how I can better understand and how I can better be of service to this task force, trying to bring all of those concerns to the table and making sure that all those voices are being heard.
Geovanny Sarmiento with the Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce, thanks as always.
Thank you.
We're back with more right after this.